The abandoned Yamanashi Hospital, Japan's forgotten mountain of shadows. Deep in the silent mountains of Yamanashi Prefecture, hidden behind collapsing trees and winding fog-covered roads, stands the remains of an abandoned hospital that locals rarely speak about after sunset. Travelers who accidentally pass the area say the air suddenly becomes colder. Taxi drivers avoid the mountain road at night. Some villagers claim they still see faint lights flickering behind shattered windows even though electricity vanished there decades ago. The building today is little more than a rotting concrete skeleton. Rusted hospital beds sit motionless in dark corridors. Medical charts lie scattered across damp floors. Broken wheelchairs remain frozen exactly where they were abandoned. But the real horror surrounding the old Yamanashi Hospital is not simply its decay. It is the stories buried inside its walls. The beginning of the Mountain Hospital. The hospital was originally constructed during Japan's rapid post-war economic growth in the late 1960s. At the time, many rural communities in mountainous regions struggled to access medical care. Yamanashi's isolated villages were especially vulnerable during harsh winters when roads became blocked by snow and landslides.
The government encouraged the construction of regional hospitals to support aging populations and industrial workers. Near the forests surrounding Mount Fuji, a medium-sized medical facility was established to treat local residents, forestry workers, and travelers moving through the mountain roads. At first, the hospital was considered modern. It had surgical rooms, patient wards, underground storage tunnels, and a psychiatric observation wing added years later during the 1970s. Elderly locals remember the hospital as a symbol of hope. Children were born there. Accident victims were treated there. Nurses from nearby towns worked long exhausting shifts inside the cold mountain building. But isolation slowly transformed the hospital into something darker. The hospital's location became a serious problem. During heavy storms, ambulances could not always reach the area quickly. Supplies arrived late. Staff shortages became common. Younger doctors preferred larger city hospitals in Tokyo or Yokohama instead of remote mountain facilities. By the early 1980s, the hospital had already begun declining. Rumors from the psychiatric wing. The most disturbing stories came from the hospital's psychiatric ward. Japan's mental health institutions during the mid-20th century were often isolated from society. Many facilities were overcrowded, underfunded, and hidden away from major cities. Some abandoned psychiatric hospitals later became infamous urban legends throughout Japan. According to former employees, the Yamanashi Hospital added several psychiatric rooms after an increase in severe trauma cases and long-term patients. Some locals believed patients were transferred there from overcrowded institutions in larger cities. The psychiatric wing was built separately from the main structure. A narrow hallway connected it to the surgical building. At night, the corridor lights reportedly flickered constantly because of unstable mountain power lines. Former nurses later claimed strange noises echoed through the hallway long after patients had been sedated. One former cleaner allegedly quit after hearing someone crying inside an empty room during a midnight shift. Another rumor claimed a patient repeatedly warned staff that someone walked the halls after midnight. No official records confirm these stories. But over time, the hospital developed a frightening reputation among local residents. The tragedy that changed everything. In the late 1980s, a severe financial crisis struck the hospital administration. Medical debt increased rapidly. Equipment became outdated. Fewer patients visited as newer hospitals opened closer to urban areas. Japan's rural population decline worsened the situation even further. Then came the incident many locals still whisper about. One winter night during a violent snowstorm, power reportedly failed across parts of the facility. Backup systems malfunctioned. Roads became blocked. Several critically ill patients could not be transferred in time. Exactly what happened that night remains unclear. Some versions of the story claim patients died because emergency generators stopped working. Others say panic spread inside the psychiatric ward during the blackout. A few rumors even suggest a nurse disappeared during the storm and was never officially found. No confirmed public documents fully verify the supernatural versions of the tale, but stories surrounding abandoned Japanese hospitals often grow from real tragedies mixed with fear and local folklore. After the incident, the hospital's reputation collapsed. Families avoided the facility. Staff resigned. Maintenance slowed. Entire floors were eventually sealed off because of structural damage and lack of funding. The final closure. The final closure. By the mid-1990s, the hospital was nearly empty. Only a few elderly patients reportedly remained in long-term care rooms. Entire wings sat abandoned. Rainwater leaked through ceilings. Mold spread across patient wards. Medical records were boxed and forgotten inside underground storage rooms. Then, almost without warning, the hospital officially closed. Some workers left so quickly that equipment remained exactly where it was used last. Explorers later claimed they found surgical lights still hanging over operating tables, medicine bottles scattered across shelves, and handwritten patient notes left inside desks. Similar scenes have been documented in abandoned hospitals across Japan. Nature slowly consumed the property. Trees cracked through parking lots. Vines wrapped around broken windows. Animals nested inside patient rooms. Rain and snow rotted the upper floors year after year. Yet despite the decay, people kept returning. Not doctors. Not officials. But ghost hunters. The rise of the haunted legend. During the early internet era, rumors about the abandoned Yamanashi hospital spread across Japanese urban exploration forums. People uploaded blurry photographs showing dark corridors and rust-covered wheelchairs. Some videos captured unexplained sounds echoing through the building. Others claimed cameras malfunctioned inside the psychiatric wing. Several explorers described a recurring experience. They would hear footsteps on upper floors even though nobody else was inside. Others reported sudden cold air moving through sealed rooms. One group claimed they found a patient bed slowly rocking back and forth despite no wind entering the building. Whether real or imagined, these stories transformed the hospital into one of the region's most feared abandoned locations. Japan already has a deep cultural history involving spirits known as eerie, ghosts believed to linger in places connected to suffering, loneliness, or sudden death. Abandoned hospitals naturally became powerful settings for such legends. The explorer who vanished. One of the darkest modern legends surrounding the hospital involves a university student from the early 2000s. According to internet rumors, a small group entered the hospital at night to film a ghost documentary. The group reportedly split up while exploring different floors. When they regrouped, one member was missing. His flashlight was later found near the psychiatric hallway staircase. Police searches allegedly discovered nothing. No verified news records fully confirm this story, and many believe it became exaggerated online over time. But the tale spread rapidly through Japanese horror forums and helped cement the hospital's terrifying reputation. Even today, some explorers refuse to enter the building alone. What the hospital looks like today. The abandoned structure now sits in extreme decay. Broken glass covers the hallways. Elevator doors remain permanently open like dark mouths leading underground. Rain drips endlessly through collapsed ceilings. Inside certain rooms, old calendars still hang frozen decades in the past. Graffiti covers many walls now, though some explorers note that Japanese abandoned hospitals are often surprisingly untouched compared to ruins in other countries. Locals nearby rarely discuss the building openly. Some simply call it the Old Mountain Hospital. Others refuse to mention it at all. During heavy fog, the outline of the building reportedly appears and disappears between the trees like a ghost itself. Why abandoned hospitals terrify people? Hospitals already hold emotional weight. They are places where people experience fear, grief, pain, and death. When such places become abandoned, that emotional atmosphere often remains frozen in time. Empty beds, silent corridors, and forgotten patient belongings create an unsettling feeling unlike ordinary ruins. In Japan, abandoned hospitals became deeply tied to urban legends because they combine isolation, tragedy, and the cultural belief that emotional suffering can leave spiritual traces behind. Whether the stories surrounding the Yamanashi hospital are supernatural or simply the result of imagination, one thing is certain: the building stands as a decaying reminder of forgotten patients, collapsing rural communities, and the fear humans feel when places meant for healing become places of silence. And somewhere high in the mountains of Yamanashi, the hospital still waits.